Hello and welcome to the Dr. Leaf Show. Today we're talking about something that I know I battle with and I know everyone battles with, and that is overthinking. We've all been stuck there. I'm going to talk about overthinking versus deep thinking and how you can catch the overthinking and turn it into deep thinking. This is chapter 4 from my new book coming out on the 5th of August called Help in a Hurry. You catch yourself overthinking. You actually can't move forward. You get stuck. It's chaotic. It's disruptive. It creates anxiety in you. It doesn't feel like a solution. You feel like you're on a hamster wheel going round and round and round and round and drive you around the bend instead of actually moving forward and going into deep thinking, which gives you a solution. Let's talk about the signals. Let's talk about how to find them. Let's talk about what we can do about them. But just before, I want to just remind you that this is on pre-order, the book. So if you go to helpinahurrybook.com, don't you love this cover? I just am so excited about this cover. So helpinahurrybook.com and pre-order. You get all kinds of pre-order bonuses like a free workbook, early access to some of the chapters, the free webinar, an amazing seminar. The subtitle is Simple Tips for Finding Peace When You're Overwhelmed, Anxious, or Stressed. That is something people ask me all the time. How can I feel peace in the midst of chaos? And that is one of my goals in bringing you this book, is to help you find peace in the midst of chaos. But let's talk today, broad overview of this chapter about the difference between overthinking versus deep thinking. Deep thinking is good, overthinking's not such a good one. Okay, so first thing, what the most obvious is overthinking is a stuck pattern. It's where something that was maybe hurtful or something that you worried about, something that's not sorted out, something that happened that really impacted you, like a tragedy or something, and there's a flashback, and you find, or it could be something related to something you've got to do, and you find yourself just constantly going over and over and over and overthinking the plan of what to do. And it may be something simple like going on a trip or preparing for a meeting. You find yourself going over and over. Overthinking is the same thought or group of thoughts running over and over in your mind like a hamster on a wheel. It doesn't make you feel calm. It makes you feel worked up. And the main reason why is because you're bypassing your wise, non-conscious mind. Your wise, non-conscious mind accessed through deep thinking. When your non-conscious mind is activated, it stops the loop, it takes that thought, and it starts to help you unpack it to find, what's good in it, what's it telling you, what shouldn't you pay attention to, what should you do with this, why are you thinking this, and you start going deep to get a resolution. When you have a resolution and a solution, you can move forward. When you're overthinking, you replay the same thought over and over without resolution. So the thought comes and there's no resolution. You think about it again, no resolution. It's frustrating because you're stuck. You can feel the panic rising, okay? You create worst case scenarios and get stuck in fear-based thinking. This can go wrong, that can go wrong. And it just gets worse and you feel completely stuck. It's going nowhere except the wrong direction. You struggle to focus because your mind keeps jumping between thoughts. So on this hamster wheel, there's this hamster wheel, then there's that hamster wheel, then there's that hamster wheel, and they're all doing this. Deep thinking acknowledges that. You never, a thought's telling you something, so never try and suppress a thought because it's going to come and bite you somewhere at some point. Whatever you don't face will come back at the wrong time. You always want to face it, but the deep thinking is to grab that thought and think deeply about it. Go down to find the resolution and the solution. Sometimes you're not going to find the resolution and the solution, but just the mere act of grabbing it, acknowledging it, and starting to get curious about that thought and why you've got that and where it's going and what it could potentially mean shifts your neurophysiology. And we know from the neuroscience research on this that when you stop and acknowledge and start trying to unpack, you bring that thought into the conscious mind. It's like taking a torch in a parking lot. Think of a parking lot with lots and lots of cars, and it's pitch black, and you're trying to find your car. And so you take the torch and you shine it around till you find your car. There's your car, and now you can get in. So you find the thing. So when you deep think, you're putting a torch on what's important and finding the solution. Now I can get in my car and move forward. I just walk around in the dark, bumping around. It's just a skill we've got to develop because we get in a habit of overthinking. You've heard me talk about this often. A lot of the research I've done over the last 40 years is on how long does it actually take us to form a habit. Now, the actual action of overthinking, if you're doing it a lot, it means it's a habit in your life. So you've practiced overthinking for more than 63 days. So it's become a pattern in your life. If something worries you, you overthink it, overthink. And because that feels natural, you might say things like, oh, well, that's just who I am. I just overthink. Well, anything that's making you feel disrupted, your peace is going, you're not calm, you're not getting resolution, your anxiety is increasing, that's not just who you are because you're wired for love. That's a statement made by a Nobel Prize winning scientist, and it is pure science. All our brain biology, body biology, the physics of the mind, and the whole network is all wired for your survival. And overthinking is not going to help with survival. It's going to tax your brain, mind, body network to the point where you increase cumulatively over time your chance of getting mentally and physically ill. That's bottom line. It's also pretty much a guarantee to get very depressed. That is a strong outcome of overthinking is depression. It's a really big sign. And depression that grows, because depression is a sense of helplessness. It's not a chemical imbalance. It's a sense of helplessness. And that helplessness is coming from what? From thoughts that you're thinking. And those thoughts are coming from experiences. But the helplessness comes from the fact that you just feel like you're just going nowhere. There's just no hope. I don't have any solution. There's no way out of this. And so that can often spiral and can get really bad and can lead to all kinds of things like suicidal ideation and so on. So it is really worth deciding if overthinking is a pattern in your life and whether this is something you want to change. Let me give you an interesting statistic from research. 73% of adults battle with overthinking. That is one hell of a statistic. That's a big statistic. This is a global problem. And we need to do something about this. We can't just medicate it away. You can't medicate overthinking, guys. It's not going to go away. You have to deal with the issue. And the way to deal with the issue is to look what you're overthinking about square in the face. What is it? What am I thinking about? And then start to unpack that with deep thinking. Okay, so the antidote to overthinking is deep thinking. Like you have an antidote to a snake bite, which you have the antivenom. Overthinking is the venom. Deep thinking is the antivenom. Okay, stop. I'm overthinking. What am I thinking about? What is this thing I'm overthinking? What is this thought? What is this thing on the hamster wheel? How many at the same time? Unpacking it. I keep saying, if only I did this, if only I did this. Then you realize you've gone through that worst case scenario 17 times in the last 10 minutes. I found that the other day. I counted that I was going through a scenario in my mind of something that happened about a year, and I found myself going through it over and over, and I applied my own wisdom, help in a hurry, and I thought, okay, I'm going to count. How many times have I actually gone through the same scenario that I can't make happen because the past is already finished? It's over. And all I'm doing is making myself feel worse. So I let it free flow, and I counted that I did it in under 10 minutes. I had gone through that scenario 17 times. I was in an airport, walking from TSA to the gate. We went to the lounge first and into the gate. That period was about 10 minutes. We went to the lounge to go and just go to the restroom, get some coffee. It was 10 minutes, and I was counting how many times I was overthinking. By the time I got to the gate, it was 10 times later, and I had done it 17 times. I felt awful. So what I did was Mac, my husband, who I've spoken about, I said to my husband, okay, I need help in a hurry. I'm doing chapter 4. I'm overthinking. I spoke quietly and I said, this is what I'm overthinking about. This is the scenario that I've created. And I know it's unrealistic, but I'm stuck. I'm feeling awful. I'm starting to feel really depressed. Now, I don't get depressed often. I catch it quickly, but I had to speak at a conference. And so I talked it through. I told Mac what it was. And he just asked me a few questions. How's it making you feel? Where do you feel it in your body? How's it affecting your perspective? You can do that yourself if you don't have someone to talk to. 4 questions. How are you feeling? Where do you feel it in your body? How's it affecting your behavior? And how's it affecting your perspective? I'm answering those questions, which are the 4 signals that show up in life. And they're part of the neurocycle formula that I've created that helps you manage your mind. But just doing that, I immediately broke the cycle. I felt myself getting off the hamster wheel. I destroyed the hamster wheel. And I was able to, by the time I got on that flight, I felt number 18 coming back. I turned to Max and said, hey, it's coming back. He held my hand and he said, let's just breathe. Let's just breathe in for 2 counts and out for 8. As you breathe out, say, let go. I breathed in 1, 2, and out for 8 counts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As I was breathing out, I said, let go. 10 seconds is the perfect unit of time that our conscious mind can start getting refocused and getting our neurophysiology back on track. And you can do any combination of breathing exercises in that time period. 2-8 is a very easy combination to do. Calms down your neurophysiology quickly. And when you say let go, you're imprinting the right information into the oxygen. Oxygen carries information into your body. Let calm me down. And then I decided to watch a movie. And I chose the funniest, dumbest movie I could find, and I watched it. And so there's an example of how to do this. So this is something we can do. And I give you a lot. In chapter 4, there's not just one technique. I've given you one, but there's so many more, and you can choose which one you like. I just want to read you a couple of quotes. Your brain is not the boss of you. You're the boss of your brain. Your brain isn't dictating your life. It feels like it because your brain does what your mind tells it to do. If your conscious mind is stuck on that scenario that I was, all my brain did was just build network in response. It builds a protein network in response to the energy coming from my mind. And then it builds it in my body. Your mind drives the process. So it was just making it stronger and stronger, really reinforcing. But I could stop that because my brain's not the boss. I stopped that by how I told you. Your brain's not the boss. You are the boss of your brain. I remember the scenario. I could give it in detail, but it no longer controls me. That scenario doesn't catch me because I've worked on it and rewiring it. Your thoughts are like guests. You don't have to invite every single one to stay. That scenario in my head was not a nice thought. I kicked that out and I did the work. You can do that. You're in charge. Your brain doesn't tell you what to do. You tell your brain what to do. Overthinking won't give you control. Only toxic stress, which was happening to me. Your brain listens to what you tell it. Tell it something new. So I watched a movie. I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding for about, I don't know how many times I've watched it. I laughed all the way throughout. I laughed so much I was crying. Some tears were from the scenario, but I gave myself something new to think about. Now, each time that scenario tries to come back, what do I think about? My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And what pops up in my mind is, why you want to leave me? And that makes me laugh because that's something I always say to my kids whenever they leave. So there's a simple example. I hope you pre-order. I hope this podcast has helped you. And if it has, share it with someone that you know is stuck in overthinking and pre-order that book, dive in, follow me on Instagram. I'm here to help you. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you next time.